as you mentioned, Pete, I've played out there. I've had some fun playing out at PGA West in Palm Springs. I know you have had some good times out there. What are your thoughts on the course, and any good stories about it?
Yeah, I love the course. My friends and I, a big gambling crew, including Brandon Adams, go out every year, pre-COVID, to Indian Wells for the tennis tournament. We watch a lot of tennis, do some big tennis bets, and inevitably we end up playing a lot of golf. We have some friends at the Madison Club, at the Vintage, and of course we love to go out to PGA West. And there's been some epic battles on that course. I've been known to throw some dollars around, and yeah, this course is probably the highest amount of money I've got on a course outside of some mountain trips that we do every summer up in the mountains here in Colorado. But tons of fun, and I don't make the course. I mean, you and I have played a lot of golf together, and we play with guys that we're playing with a couple guys who are like threes or fours, but Brandon's a double-digit handicap. A couple of the other guys are. The course doesn't seem that easy for us, but you watch the pros play, and you just I mean, obviously they're at a different level, and even playing with some plus golfers, they don't make the course look as easy as these PGA Tour professionals, and that's really relevant this week. I mean, you need to get guys who can win in really low scoring environments. So good approach game, good putters, get a bump this week.
So my radio partner, Michael Collins, who does Hitting the Green with me every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM's PGA Tour channel, made a great point earlier today in that he was wondering, because they're only using 2 courses, not 3 this year. They're not using La Quinta, and there's no pro-am part of it. It is only going to be professionals. With COVID going on still, they're not having pro-ams at most events, and so they're not having a pro-am part to this competition. And it's only going to be a 36-hole cut instead of the usual 54-hole cut. And so he is theorizing that, hey, maybe they'll toughen it up a little bit. Usually it plays really easy because you've got a whole bunch of hack golfers out there, and you don't want to spend 7 hours on the golf course, bring down their playing partners who are playing for actual money and actual status out there. And so you wonder, without all of the amateurs on the golf course with them, and we've seen Andrew Landry and Adam Long win the last 2 editions of this event, each at 26 under par. You wonder if, hey, let's take the easiest of the 3 courses out of the rotation. Let's take the amateurs out of the equation, and maybe this one plays a little bit tougher this week. I'm not so sure about that. I still think that the overall theme of this one is that the PGA Tour wants to let most of the players sort of ease their way into the year just a little bit. This is an event where a lot of guys are still making their 2021 debut this week. And so you think they kind of want to, all right, let's let them kind of get their feet wet just a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if, of course, weather dependent, wind dependent, but maybe the winning score is closer to 21 or 22 under par instead of 26 under par. When you take La Quinta out, you take the amateurs out.
Yeah, La Quinta, that's certainly a good point. So you have to factor that in a bit. And yeah, we'll have to look at the weather, but assuming it's nice like it normally is in Palm Springs this time of year, these guys will still be able to get after it. And yeah, maybe it changes a little bit, but it's a much different setup, and you're looking for a different golfer here than you're looking for, at a major championship or at some of these tougher courses. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays, and we have a pretty good field. I was disappointed to see John Rahm withdraw. It's not that surprising, but Patrick Reed's in the field, Cantlay, who I know you love, Sung Jae. We're all looking for Tony Finau to kind of improve here. You got Brooks Koepka in the field, Answer. You got Ricky Fowler, you got Matthew Wolff. You have a lot of star power in this field. It's not all the big names, but there's still plenty of big names in golf. At the top of the board, I think I like the mid-tier more this week, but of the top guys, I think I like Answer the most. I know he's definitely a tier below in terms of odds relative to Koepka, Scheffler, Finau, but I think Answer makes a lot of sense this week, and I think it's a good course for him. I know you've been excited about Answer a lot lately. Do you like him again this week, or are you off the bandwagon?
Okay, so first of all, well, I just looked up the wind as you were speaking there, and it says it's going to be 2 miles an hour this weekend, gusting up to 4 miles an hour. So I don't think the wind is going to play much of a factor this weekend. It has in the past at this event, but I don't think it will be this year. Secondly, I did a little digging, and over the last 10 years, at this event, the winners have been an average of just north of 125 to 1 going into the event. And that includes John Rahm, who 3 years ago was 7 to 2. He was plus 350 going into the week. And so you include him as part of that. You've got Landry was 200 to 1. Adam Long was 500 to 1. So you've seen some big numbers here. So this is a place where I recommend looking at some long shots. Certainly they've shown they can hit. It's very rarely that a favorite like Rahm is able to hit there. Of the guys on top, I like Cantley because I always like Patrick Cantley, especially on the West Coast. I like Tony Finau because I always like Tony Finau, and but I'm starting to jump off just a little bit. At some point, you gotta cut bait, and until I start seeing something from Finau. That said, I'll probably jump back on him next week because he plays really well at Torrey Pines, and already thinking ahead to the Farmers Insurance Open. I would rather, if I could only take him one of the next 2 weeks, I'd rather skip this week and go after him next week in a tougher field.
Yeah.
Scheffler, I like. He was third place last year. I really like him. I think Matthew Wolff can have a nice week. And Abraham Answer, after he missed the cut last week, I was like, you know what? He's dead to me for a while. He was my favorite outright last week. I went on every show. I went on every radio program and just, talked the heck out of Abraham Answer and said, this is my guy this week. And he missed the cut. So I'm like, he's dead to me. And then I looked at his numbers and he broke par both rounds. His ball striking numbers were pretty damn good. So it's tough not to like him. Go back to that well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you miss cuts because of your putter. It's hard to get off him. I mean, if he starts hitting the ball wayward off the tee or the approach game's falling off, it's much more intriguing. Or, there's more justification, I should say, in fading them going forward after a missed cut. But when it's because of the putter, I tend to give them the benefit of the doubt, especially a player like Answer. Agree with you. I think the mid-tier is loaded. We were talking a little pre-pod. I think Eric Van Rooyen has tremendous value. Love Sam Burns, Siwoo Kim, Seb Straka. I got some long shots. I actually have more like mid-tier value on, like in terms of their outrights, but I'll save those. EVR, Burns. I'm interested in Henley, Brian Harmon again, Siwoo Kim, Seb Straka, Taylor Gooch. Those are guys who are looking like value to me in the betting markets. Any of those names stand out? Who do you like?
I've got a bunch of those guys on my list. It's kind of the mid tier and the lower tier, or there's some blurred lines there this week. So I'm not even sure who's mid and who's low, but I'll give you a bunch of names that I have. A few of those that you mentioned: Sam Burns, you mentioned Sepp Straka, who was T4 here a year ago. I really like him. Taylor Gooch has been 17th and 4th the last 2 years at this one. I like him. A few other names: Aaron Wise, who's one of your favorites. Usually, Peter, I like Aaron Wise. He's my favorite outright this week just because, look, I wrote a whole column about how long shots tend to show up at this one. I can't go pick some chalky player, some chalky favorite based on what we've seen in the past year. So Aaron Wise, who opened at 90 to 1, he was my favorite play here for an outright. Doc Redman, my Doc Redman fascination. I just think this kid's got a ton of game. He is tremendous value in the marketplace this week. I mean, he's 28 to 1 for a top 5 this week. He's been top 5 in 3 of his last 8 starts. I mean, it's not like, well, if he has a really good week, maybe he can do it. It's like, no, he's peeling off 37% in his last 8 starts in the top 5. So I really like a play like that. A couple other names, Brendan Steele once again. Cameron Davis has been playing well. Mav McNeely, really good putter. He won a college event here 6 years ago. Peter Malnati keeps showing up, especially in the first round. I mean, watch out for him, first round leader. Like him, Wyndham Clark, Scott Piercy, Vaughn Taylor, Robbie Shelton, all kind of a little bit lower, but all guys that I think can pop this week.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of names I like. First of all, Steely still showing value. West Coast guy. I know it's brutal to come off, a bad Sunday like that where he was in contention with the lead. But the game is there. I mean, I thought it was really telling talking with Steely on the pod how he felt so much more comfortable hitting cuts on his approach shot, which is so important. You think about how good these guys are and, the defense that the PGA Tour puts on a lot of these golf courses, tucking pins in certain parts. And, the pins in the, far right corner, it's pretty tough to get close if you're hitting a draw. But if you feel comfortable hitting cuts, and moving the ball both ways, you can kind of start the ball in the middle of the green and then move the ball towards the pin if it's tucked away. So that's shown up in the stats. He's really improved on approach, and I show value on him again this week. The other guy that you mentioned I show a ton of value on is Wyndham Clark. And Wyndham Clark can go out and win a putting contest very easily. We're normally fading the good putters here on the pod. There's certain events that, good putters get a bump. Most of the time, you're kind of hoping that there's some regression. You're betting on ball strikers. This week, to me, the stats are approach, and then I'm actually looking for good putters, kind of given the format here and just how players have scored in the past. So Wyndham Clark, I mean, he is definitely right there as the best putter 10 feet and in, and can make a ton of birdies. I show a ton of value on him. Still like JT Poston. I think he's a good one. Seb Straka shows a lot of value for me. And a couple other names that you didn't mention that are showing value right now for me are Luke List, Patrick Rogers.
I had Luke List down. Yep.
Yeah, I love Luke List this week. Luke List, Patrick Rogers, and Byung-Hun An. And Byung-Hun An goes against what I just said, saying we want some good putters. But, man, Byung-Hun An's like 170, 180 to 1 out there. And, I mean, he's definitely one of the best ball strikers. Can he get lucky with the putter? We'll see. But he's just more, he's longer odds than he normally would be. I mean, think about some of the tournaments we were looking at before. Aaron Wise was 180 to 1. And, someone like Byung-Hun An was like 80 to 100 to 1. Now it's flipped. Aaron Wise is like 70, 80, 90 to 1, depending where you're looking. And Byung-Hun An's 170, 180 to 1. So that's just a price thing more than anything with Byung-Hun An. But, I think he's interesting. And I got a couple like severe long shots. Do you have any really long shots that you like, Jason?
I mean, of those guys, I don't have the odds next to some of these names, but I'm guessing that Scott Piercy's a pretty long shot. Robbie Shelton, probably a really long shot. I like that kid's game, though, and I think it's coming around a little bit. 25th last week at the Sony. So either of those guys pop for you?
Shelton's like basically break even, which is kind of, I guess, most golfers when you're looking are showing a significant negative edge. So Shelton, I guess, not fully popping, but I think he's really interesting. And then Piercy is actually a little shorter odds than you think. I mean, he's only 125, 120 to 1, 110 to 1 market. And that's kind of where I have him priced. So I think Piercy is fine. But Shelton's interesting to me. I got a couple long shots that are showing some significant value as we record this here on Monday night. Danny Lee, Troy Merritt, Abraham Lahiri, I'm sorry, not Abraham, Lahiri. I don't even know how to pronounce his first name. Anirban. Scott Brown and Will Gordon starting to sneak up. But Will Gordon's 400 to 1, which is why he's popping.
Yeah, I like those players.
I make him 300 something to 1, so it's like, it's not like he's a great bet, but he should be shorter than 400 to 1.
By the way, so on the gimme every week, I always ask you, once we go over the top of the board and we look at the odds, hey, what do you think of the odds? Are they right? Are the numbers right? Are the players in the right order? And you say, I might have this guy here, that guy there. I usually, I struggle to see it on a regular basis. I might say, would have thought this guy would be the second favorite, not that guy. There aren't a whole lot of times when I see just a bad number. There are a few this week, I think, on the side of the bettors where it's, wow, that guy is too big. The one that I find is too low. John Huh has opened at 70 to 1. Any thoughts on John Huh this week? I went back and looked, and I just hadn't seen his name in a while. He played pretty well at the end of last year. I mean, nothing bad. He's been pretty good for a while. It's just sort of everything's sort of okay. There aren't really any title contentions. What are you seeing on John Huh? Is there any reason? That's one that I wrote about in my column this week that I looked at him almost like the football game where it's like, hey, the team that's the underdog that should be the underdog is favored. And I really want to take the other team, but it's almost like the books know something that I don't. So is there something the books know that I don't with John Huh being the same odds as like a Sam Burns, as a Gary Woodland, as an Adam Hadwin? Does that make any sense to you?
Nope, it makes no sense to me, and that's where I wish we could short John Huh at 70 to 1. I see him at 71 on a book as well. I think he's closer to 200 to 1 than he is to 70 to 1. So I have John Huh next to Max Homa, Swafford, Danny Lee, Burns, who's the same odds, I think is like 4 or 5 times more likely to win than John Huh. So I couldn't agree more with that sentiment and that view of John Huh.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I'm sitting there looking at his number. I'm like, that, like, nothing about that makes sense. It's like they just threw him in there for absolutely no reason. I'm like, am I missing something, or,
No.
they just kind of feeding us something in there. So
Danny Lee is basically the same price to me to win, and he's 300 to 1 and Huss 70 to 1.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that helps.
I like
That
Danny
makes a lot
Lee.
of sense.
I think he should be a lot shorter than 300 to 1, but
I could see that. Danny Lee's a good player. So